I have now done Instacart for a year and am a diamond shopper. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you the 12 most important tips I've learned along the way. So if you're a brand new Instacart shopper, hopefully you can make a big jump in the amount of money you're making, and you can have some tools and strategies on how to go about being an Instacart shopper even better than you already are. The first thing that I learned was that you won't get many batches starting off. So when you first sign up and become an Instacart shopper, you're really kind of the bottom of the totem pole. You're not going to get that many batches. So my recommendation is to just take basically whatever batches come your way, just so you can get the hang of things, because it's going to take a little while to actually get into the swing of things and understand how it all works. Get the routine down of shopping for things, where the barcodes are on items, so that you can reduce the time it takes you to scan the codes and kind of know how each store is laid out, so that you can get your own routine going on how you want to shop for the items and different things like that. It's going to take you maybe a month to really get this down. And so I suggest just taking kind of whatever comes your way, because there's not going to be many batches coming in at first. The second thing I've learned is that the higher your tier is of Instacart shopper, the more batches you're going to be seeing. So like I said at the start, there's not going to be that many, but as you do more and more batches, more and more batches will start coming your way. That's just what I saw over the course of my first year doing it consistently. The third thing I learned is that at the start, you're going to want to estimate about 2 minutes per item. So when you're receiving batches, just keep that in mind, that it's going to take me at least 2 minutes per item. And so you can kind of gauge off of that what batches are worth accepting. And you might want to even go 3 minutes per item at the very start. But as you get better, as you get quicker, as you learn more and learn the layouts of stores, where items are and things like that, then you can really reduce your kind of thought process to maybe 1 minute per item. Because now after a year, it seems like I can usually do about 45 seconds per item, depending on the store. The next thing, which is such a big thing, is to use the store Wi-Fi. This is one of the reasons why I steered clear of Instacart for the first 5 years of my gig work that I've done. And it's because I would go into stores and the app would not load. I wouldn't be able to scan things. Nothing would load. I wouldn't be able to do anything. And so I'd have to keep running outside in order for the app just to work and transition into when you're checking out and things like that. And it was so annoying and so time consuming that I just steered clear of Instacart altogether. But I was a dummy, because I could have just used the in-store Wi-Fi. So make sure you connect to all the store's Wi-Fi's. And so then when you go in, it's just automatically connected and you don't have to worry about having a connection issue. Now, the next one, number 5, is you're going to want to download the store's apps so that you can shop quicker. Now, for Smith's, they tell you exactly where the location of the item is. It tells you the aisle number and the shelf number that it's on. So it's super convenient when it comes to Smith's, but almost every other store doesn't do that. And it can make things extremely difficult if you don't know what aisle things are in. Like the number one app I use is Target, because they're super good. They literally tell you the exact aisle that the item is in. So that just shaves off a lot of time, especially when you're starting off and you don't know the layout of the stores. You can download the store's app, search the items, and then it will give you the exact location. And it even has a map of you in the store, because sometimes it can be even hard to find the aisles within the store, even if you know what aisle the item's in. So that just comes in super handy, and something I learned along the way, so that you can find items super fast, even when you're starting off. The next thing I learned is to use a handheld basket in your cart, like the picture I'll throw up on the screen for you, when you have a triple batch. So sometimes you get 3 orders at once, and it can be kind of hard to figure out how to put all the things in one cart. Or sometimes what I used to think is that, oh, I probably should grab 2 or 3 carts or do them all separately. But what I've learned is that as long as the items aren't too excessive, like I'm talking over 100 items, then you can use this method where you just put a basket in the middle and then have the top part of the cart for the first order, have the middle basket for your second order, and then the end of the cart for your third order, and it seems to work out pretty good. And also, along with that, when you're checking out, it's best, in my opinion, to use different bags for the different batches that you're doing. So if you have a triple stack, then first order, maybe you do plastic. Second order, maybe you do paper. And then third, maybe you do plastic that has the bags tied, just so you can tell them apart easier, and so you don't get confused when you're putting the items in your car and actually bringing the items up to the doorstep. Now, the 7th tip that I've learned is you always go to the in-person register. Don't do self-checkout. Unless self-checkout, there's just absolutely no line and you have a really small amount of items, then you can go do self-checkout. It's not gonna really save you any time to go to the person at the register. But if you have anything above like 10 items or especially multiple orders, then you're definitely going to want to go to the person at the register. I used to never go to the person at the register. I probably learned this 6 months in, that for the first 6 months, I was always just going to self-checkout. And then finally, self-checkout one time was just super packed, so I decided to go to the person at the register, and they got things done so much faster than I could have ever done myself. So always go to the in-person register. It will save you like at least 10 minutes per order. The next thing that you're gonna wanna always do is have your green card with you. I've learned this the hard way. Sometimes you get into the store and it just, your Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever your digital card is on sometimes doesn't work, and it can be super frustrating because then you have to run all the way back out to your car to grab the card. So just have it with you on every single batch, and especially with Costco orders, you're always going to have your Instacart debit card. The next thing I learned is that it's beneficial for you to just sit and wait in parking lots, and this is kind of contrary to the other apps, but if you just sit and wait in parking lots, it's way better than driving around. The closer you are to the store, the higher likelihood of you getting a batch is. So there's no point in trying to drive around and find batches. I just usually drive to the nearest Smith's and just sit and wait, because that seems to be the best way to do things. And that way you're not wasting gas. Number 10 is something that I kind of talked about already, but you need to know that certain stores have a higher difficulty of finding the items. So when you're thinking about what batches you should accept, you're going to want to keep that in mind, because say Smith's, for instance, I will usually accept something that's higher items for less pay because I know it tells me the exact location of the item. But for places like Sprouts, sometimes it takes me like 5 minutes to find an item because I don't normally shop there and they don't really label things that well. It's really hard to find some of the items. So just keep that in mind when you're selecting what batch is worth taking. Now, the next thing I learned is when the best times to go out are. And the best times for me are early morning, afternoon, and late night. So not really before noon. From like 9:30 to about noon, it's pretty dead, and so I try and avoid that time. And then also in the evening time, it's pretty dead from like 6 to about 9 o'clock. I mean, there are some outlier days where it is busy during those times, but that's just the general rule of thumb. And then from 9 o'clock to about midnight, it's actually pretty busy on a lot of days. But if you want a tool to help you figure out when it's the busiest for you in your specific area, then you can go ahead, use the link down below in the description to download the Solo app, pay for one of their subscription plans, because that's going to get you access to the Pay Guarantee feature, and it'll show you the exact best times of day for you to go out in your specific market. And that's something that I use, and that's how I figured out easier on when the best times of day to hit are to make the most amount of money. And when you use the link, you're going to get a free trial plus a $10 bonus. And then the last thing that you should do, and the last thing that I learned, is that you just have to put in the reps. I hated Instacart at first. I never would do them. I would do like one batch here and there, and every time I tried it, I absolutely hated it because, one, I hated shopping. It took me so long to find the items, and it just wasn't that good because I wasn't getting that many batches. I would sit and wait for a long time. Nothing would be coming in, and I would be like, this is just so not worth it. But after many months of doing that, and then finally getting into a higher tier, you start seeing way more higher paying batches, and you start getting the hang of things, and things start going way faster, and you can start getting batches done way quicker. But you have to put in the reps. I would say this is the app where it's the most based on your knowledge and how quickly you can get things done. And that is directly correlated into how much money you'll be able to make. So keep that in mind, put in the reps, figure out a routine, figure out the best strategy for you, because you can end up making way more than some of the other apps and putting way less wear and tear on your car using Instacart. So anyways, hopefully these 12 things will help you make more money on Instacart. Those are the top things that I've learned over the past year, and the things that I've learned making my way up to the diamond tier shopper that I am now. If you did learn something, make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys for your support. If you want access to more strategies and to a lot more people talking about different apps, then you can go ahead and join the More Driven community. There's a bunch of competitions, a bunch of giveaways in that community that I started. The link will be down below in the description for you, as well as that solo link if you want to check out either of those. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.